Welcome to Badminton Unlimited, your weekly access to badminton action and beyond. This week we spend time with Indonesian legend Haryanto Arbi as he talks about his career. And we talk to the women who are reshaping the women's singles, Saina Nehwal and Carolina Marin. As badminton continues to flourish, the competition grows with it. Nations are pouring in resources in search of the formula that will give them the edge. Whilst China is considered the most dominant in this era, there are signs that even that certainty may not last long. Back in the 90s, it was Indonesia that reigned supreme. Players like six-time Indonesia Open winner Ardi Wiranata, Olympic gold medalist Alan Budikusuma, and 1993 world champion Joko Supriyanto forging the reputation of their country. In two-time All England Championship recipient Haryanto Arbi, Indonesia was able to call on yet another huge talent.
When the players in the men's singles are all good, the competition gets very tight. It raises our level of motivation and performance all the time.
We sat down recently with a 43-year-old as he was engaged in his daily routine in his second career as a sports apparel business owner. Haryanto, or just Harry to his family and friends, got the badminton bug at a very early age. A native of Kudus, a regency in central Java, he was given great encouragement by both his parents to take up the sport. What's more, he was inspired by his older brother's badminton accomplishments.
I started playing when I was 10 and I joined Jarum in Kudus. I'm from a badminton playing family. Both my parents and my two older brothers play the sport as well. They were both in the national team. Hastomo was a Thomas Cup winner, while Eddie Hartono won silver at the Olympics. Since I was very young, my folks would scare me that if I were to miss even a single day of training, my playing ability will get worse. So I was training every day. Even if it was Sunday, I'll just train alone.
It worked a treat. Haryanto's efforts paid off when he was invited into the national setup in 1990. But those same teammates he trained with often stood in the way of winning his first tournament. But eventually, his maiden title came in 1993 at the Chinese Taipei Open. That seemed to open the floodgates. A Yonex Japan Open win and the first of his two Yonex All England crowns soon followed.
I was very happy. I felt that if God was going to give it to me, it will happen. Because usually before the Chinese Taipei win, I would lose out to other Indonesian players. This time, all of them had early exits. When I won the All England, there's actually a good story. In 1992, I was still watching it live on TV. I was wondering when would be my chance. Coincidentally, the next year, I would play and win it.
The ferocious battle for individual titles amongst Indonesia's world-class shuttlers meant the training sessions were always just as intense. But Haryanto insists that team events like the biennial Thomas Cup immediately unified everybody in the group.
Normally the training was very fierce. Be it during competitions or just practice sessions, we were all very focused. Usually, it came down to who was the fitter one that will win the matches. As our skill levels were about the same, it was really about whose body condition was better on the day. Whatever it took for the best of the team, a player had to put aside his ego. So if there's a particular strategy against another country, everyone will accept any decision on who would play because it's for nothing else but the team.
Tim yang akan putuskan ya kita harus bisa terima karena ini memang benar-benar buat tim gitu.
Haryanto would play his part in 3 consecutive Thomas Cup triumphs. In 1995, another opportunity to bring more Indonesian glory ended unexpectedly at the Sudirman Cup, as they were shocked by a rising China. Despite the huge disappointment felt by Haryanto, he rallied at the World Championships a week later to win the title. A keen student of his opponents, he shared with us his secret.
At that time, we were really eyeing the Sudirman Cup, but we lost. So I actually started playing in the tournament to get over it because I had nothing to lose. But I realized slowly I was doing well and found myself in the final. It was the one chance I wasn't going to let go. I usually wrote down in my own diary the strengths and weaknesses of the players I had played against. Before my matches, I would open it up and study all the notes I've written about my opponents. I was sure that their style of play would be consistent throughout.
Amongst many of Haryanto's achievements at that point included his second Yonex All-England title and a gold medal at the Quadrennial Asian Games. 1997 also saw victories for him at both the SEA Games and Singapore Open. 2 years later, he retained his title in the city-state, which would also be his last. Injuries were beginning to take their toll, and Haryanto eventually called time on his glittering career in 2001.
The injuries were affecting my training, so I couldn't give my best anymore. Finally, I told myself that this is it, I can't go on. The pain kept getting worse.
Always a competitor, Haryanto still wonders what he could achieve in the modern game.
You win a point at every play now. In the past, you had to hold serve. I can't imagine if I was still playing now and how far I could have gone.
It remains a difficult question to pick out the greatest in his generation. But for fans of Haryanto Arbi and Indonesia, his name is definitely up there with the best. Time for some trivia. Can you recognize this person? She is a badminton icon in her country. She was born in February 1995. Has won medals at both the BWF Junior and World Championships, and was also the BWF Most Promising Player of the Year in 2009. All will become clear after the break. When we get back, we talk to newly crowned women's singles world #1 about rivalries and success. Before the break, we asked you to recognize this player. The answer is Ratchanok Intanon. The 20-year-old was born in Yasathorn, Thailand. At the age of 7, she won her first badminton tournament. Ratchanok is Thailand's leading women's singles player and is currently ranked 8th in the world. She is also a 3-time BWF Junior World Champion. She became the youngest player to win a gold medal at the BWF World Championships after defeating Li Shuirei of China in 2013. There's a new queen of women's singles badminton. Her name is Saina Nehwal. The 25-year-old was officially confirmed as the format's #1 player when the BWF rankings were published last week. She becomes the first shuttler from India to reach the summit of the world rankings.
It of course feels big, great, really a proud moment for me, for the Indian fans, for Indian badminton actually. When I started playing, it was not about being world #1 someday or getting Olympic medal or achieving so much. It was just about enjoying the sport and just having fun. But I never thought someday I'll become so big and I'll have so many achievements.
Saina was assured of the #1 spot at the Yonex Sunrise India Open 2 weeks ago. It was reward for 6 months in which she had been performing consistently well at the highest level. But so had another player from the other side of the world, Carolina Marin. The 21-year-old had been in stunning form for much of 2014, clinching gold at the European and Li Ning BWF World Championships. This year, she also took the Yonex All England Championships title. With both players doing so well, it came down to who would do better in Delhi. With Saina needing to at least match Carolina's result, it was the Indian shuttler who kept her nerve as she took the title whilst the reigning world champion lost in the semi-finals.
It was like little, what do you say, like a movie that you're playing, in India, and then if she wins and she reaches the finals, Carolina, then she becomes #1, and then if I reach the finals, then I be #1. So it was kind of dramatic, it was little bit, the pressure was there on both the players, but very happy that I could handle the pressure very well. I think on that day only in semi-finals time I was #1, but I just didn't put that in my mind because I wanted to give my best in the finals. I wanted to win it because from the last 4 times when I played in India Open, I never crossed the quarterfinal stage. This was the first time I was playing finals, so I wanted to win it in front of the home crowd.
Apart from vying for the #1 spot, Saina and Carolina have been developing a genuine rivalry on the court. The two shuttlers had met in the final of 2 tournaments this year alone. Saina grabbed the title on home soil at the Syed Modi Championships, and Carolina took gold in Birmingham at the prestigious All England. For both, this intense competition is welcome.
It's always boring to see the Chinese player at the top, but now when you see that there are some more players in the world that they want to take the high world ranking is better, and because badminton at the world maybe is growing up to be the Chinese players.
I think it's really good because the Chinese dominance was there from last 4-5 years, and people were just seeing a lot of Chinese players coming up and playing against each other, and the fight was almost against them being in top 4, but we were also giving them tough fight, but we were not reaching that level. But now, of course, with the way Carolina, me, Ratchanok, then Nozomi Okuhara, and then 4-5 Tai Zuying, we all are giving tough fight to the Chinese players.
This sentiment is even more pronounced as her #1 status marks the first time in 4 years that the top spot in the women's singles has not been held by a player from China.
You can also see that the difference is happening. We are able to beat most of them, and we are also challenging them in each and every tournament. So this shows that the game is opening up, the confidence is growing in each and every country.
Saina has been the poster child for badminton in India for a while, but her newfound status has brought her unprecedented levels of fame. But she appreciates that with added interest comes more exposure for the sport.
Really happy with the kind of reception I'm getting after achieving so much. Before nobody knew what badminton is in India, and nobody even cared if you're walking on the road, because cricket was everything, is everything still. But now it's good to see that people recognize me everywhere. I can see after cricket, badminton is the second sport now, which is getting that popularity and which is also growing in India. So I can see the changes happening.
The ebbs and flow of the season will no doubt see the battle at the top of the rankings reshape and reform. But for now, it's Saina that reigns supreme. It's an exciting time for the women's singles category, and the world of badminton is better for it. Malaysian badminton fans were served up a treat last week when the 3rd installment of the MetLife BWF World Superseries reached its shores. Held at the Putra Stadium in Kuala Lumpur, the Maybank Malaysia Open 2015 delivered some dazzling court action. The finals began with the women's doubles Chinese Luo Ying and Luo Yu taking on Korea's Chang Yi-na and Jung Kyung-eun. The Chinese world #3 duo, runners-up in India the week before, weren't keen to suffer a similar fate here. And after 54 minutes, it was mission accomplished The twins wrapped up the game 21-18, 21-9 for their first title since last year's Badminton Asia Championships. The mixed doubles final saw Chinese world number 2 pair Zhang Nan and Zhao Yunlei going up against their countrymen Xu Chen and Ma Jin. Xi and Ma hadn't enjoyed playing against Zhang and Zhao going into this match. They had endured 15 straight losses against the world champions before this one. Try as they might, their misery continued. Zhang and Zhao victorious in straight games, 21-16, 21-14. A mouth-watering matchup in the men's singles as two-time Olympic gold medalist Lin Dan stepped out to face reigning world champion Chen Long. Super Dan, to his fans, could only grab the first game before Chen finally found his form. In a contest that lasted an hour and 18 minutes, the world number 1 clinched the next two, winning it 20-22, 21-13, 21-11. The women's singles event saw a repeat of last year's World Championship final, when former world number 1 Li Xuerui squared off against Spain's Carolina Marin. Li, who came up short in Copenhagen then, was looking to exact revenge. But after claiming the first game, the Chinese shuttler struggled as the Spaniard quickly recovered to gain a foothold in the match. Marin proved unstoppable from then on. The world number 2 clinched her second title in 2015 with a final score 19-21, 21-19, 21-17. Finishing off the day were Indonesia's Asian Games winners Muhammad Ahsan and Hendra Setiawan as they faced Korean duo Lee Yong-dae and Yoo Yeon-song in the men's doubles. An 8th meeting between the two pairs, Lee and Yoo went into this one with their tails up, having won 5 of the encounters. But the Southeast Asians were a different opposition on the day, winning it 14-21, 21-15, 23-21. The OUE Singapore Open begins this week to guarantee another week of world-class badminton. After the break, we're back in Jamaica to shine the spotlight on an up-and-coming player hoping to bring badminton success to his country. The MetLife BWF World Superseries is well underway, so let's see how the BWF Destination Dubai rankings are shaping up. This week we concentrate on a doubles pair who are taking advantage of their similarities. Luo Ying and Luo Yu are more than just a partnership. They're identical twins, and they've been making the most of it lately as they seem to be perplexing their opponents. The Luos now sit on the top of the women's doubles table after amassing nearly 14,000 points. Although the pair didn't win a World Super Series title last term, their consistent finishes at the business end of tournaments meant they qualified for the season-ending event. They reached the semi-finals in Dubai, proving they weren't there to make up the numbers. This year, they've kept up their consistent form, grabbing a runners-up spot at the Yonex Sunrise India Open and making it to the quarterfinals of the Yonex All England Championships. And the twins reached the top step of the podium to clinch their first Super Series title in Malaysia at the weekend. Remember, the BWF Destination Dubai rankings are updated every Thursday after a World Super Series tournament. So log on to www.bwfworldsuperseries.com to get the latest facts and stats. This week's Players of the Week are Indonesia's men's doubles duo Muhammad Ahsan and Hendra Setiawan. The world number 8 pair just bagged their first title for 2015 at the recently concluded Maybank Malaysia Open. Blighted by injuries and loss of form last season, This latest victory will no doubt boost their confidence for the year ahead, especially with the qualification for the Rio Olympics set to start in May.
One, I look up to Usain Bolt, because, you know, everybody knows. And I look up to Lyndon.
Jamaica, home to the world's fastest man, Usain Bolt. And one of the hardest hitters in cricket, Chris Gayle. And on this idyllic island, there is a young 18-year-old who is hoping to break ground in the world's fastest racket sport for his country. Meet Samuel O'Brien Ricketts, this week's One for the Future.
I want to be the first, black guy who's out there representing not just Jamaica, but the Caribbean region, and, you know, inspire people to know that it doesn't matter where you're from.
Last week, Badminton Unlimited was in Kingston, Jamaica, to look at the development of the sport in the country. We returned to the Caribbean island, this time to check out one of their rising stars in a sport that is still trying to capture the hearts of the locals. Samuel Ricketts' love for badminton started with his parents. His father, Winston Ricketts, sits on the Jamaica Badminton Association as one of the council members, and together with his wife, encouraged the young Samuel to try out the sport when he was 7. The Kingston-born was soon picking up title after title in local and international junior tournaments. By the time he was 15, Samuel knew where his future lay.
From age 7 to 15, I was just an average player, you know. But around 14, 15, I really decided, you know, to train harder and push harder. And that's when I started to develop my singles game, because originally I used to play doubles. When I started to win more and I started to train harder, and people started to see me getting better, and my coach, Mr. Ranger, Howard Ranger, he started to put more effort into me. So I feel like, why not give it a shot?
But the right-hander was initially skeptical of excelling in a sport that demands physical strength and stamina.
One of my biggest challenges is my body type. As it's a benefit, but it's also a disability. I was born prematurely, 2 months. So I have low muscle tension. So it's really hard for me to build muscles. But, so I'm not really the strongest person, but I'm very agile. So I'm very quick on the court and I'll move very fast.
Samuel's continuous hard work and never give up attitude reaped rewards. He continued to collect local and regional accolades. Last year, the 18-year-old took home gold in the Pan American Championships in men's doubles and silver in the men's singles. In August 2014, Samuel stood on the winner's podium in front of his home crowd for the men's doubles and singles at the Carabaco Junior International Under-19.
He has had quite a few exposure internationally, and I would say that has helped him to improve his game, because he's been within the Pan American Championships, he's been within the Caribbean Championships. So with that on his belt, I would say that helped to improve his game because of the difference he has seen in standards, in players, and even body builds, which he probably thought that he would not be able to excel because of his body type.
This year, the young shuttler was awarded the Athlete of the Year 2014 by the RJR Sports Foundation Sportsman and Sportswoman Awards for his achievement in badminton. But for Samuel, the progress hasn't been easy. He faces a lot of challenges while pursuing his dream. But aided by family support, the determined shuttler is not one to let that weigh him down.
Well, badminton in Jamaica isn't very popular, so you don't really get much attention from the media or, much attention from the government itself. So a lot of the time when you want to travel, you have to find your own way, you have to burden your parents. So I'm really grateful for my parents for, really pushing me to play badminton no matter how hard it was to send me. Because you love the sport, you find your way, whatever means.
Samuel embodies the people of Jamaica, relaxed and laid back, but tenacious and resolute when the need arises. Driven and focused, the future looks bright for young Samuel Ricketts. With the right attitude and hard work, his dream of representing Jamaica in the 2016 Rio Olympics could soon be realized. Before we go, let's find out what's happening on the international circuit in our Badminton Unlimited calendar. Next week on Badminton Unlimited, we're in Malaysia to find out how legend Morten Frost hopes to return badminton in the country to the very top of the world. See you next week.